به نام خداوند جان و خرد از این برتر اندیشه بر نگذرد. As Nowruz is coming, I would like to talk about the history of Nowruz, and particularly how it was developed as a kind of ritual among Shia community and overall Iranians, the Iranian world, and how it was, for example, before conquest of Arab in Iran, and how it was the situation after, and how it has become a kind of Shia celebration, or a kind of Shia festival, and how it has been celebrated around the world now. Okay, considering Nowruz or Nowruz, there are diversity of pronunciation and spelling in words, particularly in English language. But if we consider that what does Nowruz itself mean, it has been taken from two Persian words. It means now and rose. It means now. It means new, and rose means day. It means new day, and this is also the beginning of new solar hijra, or Persian solar calendar. This marks the beginning of new year in Iran and Afghanistan. And of course, that's mainly where it's quite known that it's the 21st of March, but it's not exactly 21st of March all the time. Sometimes it's the 20th of March, or it can be different. But normally it is 21st of March. But this year is the 20th of March. Regarding the history of Nowruz, how it was emerged as a kind of celebration or kind of festival, it's known as a kind of festival of courts, as it was celebrated in Persian court. If you go to Persian literature, you can find different kinds of information how it was emerged. If we consider the book that we have, which is important in Persian literature, that is Shahnameh, or Book of Kings. So in the Book of Kings or Shahnameh, Firdausi, who is a Persian poet, points out that this was celebrated because when Jamshid, the Pishtadian king, came to power, who is considered as one of the most important king, where it even marks that he was the first king who came to power and celebrated this day as Nowruz as he came to power. But in Zainul Akhbar, for example, Abdul Hayy Gardezi, who lived also during the 5th century and during Ghaznavid era, he talks that as the prayer of Persian king was accepted by God, so they celebrated this day as a kind of thanks to God. So we can say this was a kind of thanksgiving. But a few centuries later, or maybe a couple of centuries later, I think it was during 6th or 13th century, it means 6th Persian century and 13th Common Era century. So at that time, Khayyam, who was one of the most outstanding philosopher, mathematician, and astronomer, and he is also known as in Persian literature as an outstanding poet. So he points out that he written a book which is called Nowruz Nama, Book of Nowruz, or Nowruz. He means that because Nowruz was celebrated, he has a kind of similar scenario like Firdausi, but with a kind of more explanation. He says that it was the first time that the calendar was made in Persian king's court. So this is because it marks the beginning of Amal or Farvardin, which is the first month of Persian calendar. And he also, although it's not quite clear, but it is generally considered that it was during his time that he considered that this should be the day or the night where the night and the day are equal, and this is the beginning of the new year, the beginning of new spring, and the beginning is a new day. So it's a Nowruz, it means new day of the new year. And we consider that how it became kind of common among Muslims in the Iranian world, we have to consider the context of Iranian world before conquest of Iran. So in that case, it is said that it is about 5,000 years before that it has been celebrated in the Iranian world. It means uh, it's almost 3.5 centuries that the New Year or Nowruz has been common among the Iranians in the Iranian world. So when Jamshid came to power, and it has been celebrated uh, as a kind of showing their power, or maybe as a kind of thanking God, whatever was the case, but this was mainly celebrated in Persian king's court. So, in that case, when Islam emerged, it is not quite clear that was it celebrated like the two Eids, Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr, among Muslims or no? In most cases, no, because there is no indication in Muslim literature that it was celebrated during the Prophet. But there is an hadith that the gift was uh, presented to the Prophet and the Prophet received. Speaking was what has been done. And also, it is thought that Imam Ali came to power on this day, and before that, he was appointed as Imam on this day, but it is not exactly sure that was it this day or Nowruz or no. In the other hadith or tradition which is attributed to Imam Jafar al-Sadiq, the fifth Ismaili Imam, the sixth, 12th Imam. So he's the Imam who is the last Imam who is recognized by most Muslims, I mean that by both Ismaili Muslims and 12 Shia Muslims. Uh, and this is the point that you are dividing. So in this case, we also can consider that there is an hadith tradition from him that he is bringing, for example, that on this day the ark of Noah, the Prophet Noah was saved, and many other related aspects too. But the most important book which is common among Muslims is, of course, the Quran or the Holy Quran. But in Holy Quran, there is no exact meaning of anything or the word Nowruz. But if we consider that, of course, Quran talks about the revival of the nature, the earth, and the related aspects. So in that case, we can consider that one probably can interpret that what Quran means about Nowruz, but there is no direct in pointing of Quran about Nowruz. Also, when Umayyads and later Abbasids they came to power, although there was a kind of taxation on people who celebrated Nowruz on one hand, on the other hand, they themselves celebrated Nowruz as a kind of legitimizing themselves, as a kind of showing that they were in power, and this is a kind of good opportunity for them in regard of celebrations of Nowruz, unlike the two other Eid. So it is not quite a kind of religious festival. Uh, as I talked that it is about 5,000 histories, but 2,500 years later, Zoroaster, when he became the the prophet or the founder of those religion of Zoroastrian or Zoroastrianism, Nowruz was adopted as a kind of religious festival. So when Umayyad, when boys and also Fatimid they came to power, they were celebrating, although Fatimid with some kind of limitations, but of course there was some kind of celebration of Nowruz, and it can be shown that the two Shia dynasties they celebrated Nowruz, and it's becoming a kind of religious festival. Uh, However, if you consider Nasir Khosrau or any other Smiley, they didn't talk about Nowruz exactly at that period, but they talk about Nowruz in your day one. They are pointing out, but Nasir Hussain was a very important book, which is particularly about the world matter related issues, about celebration of the two Eids, but he doesn't talk about celebration of Nowruz. But Abu Tamim, who is also a poem in Fatimid, he has a poem and it's quite common. So we can show that that was the starting point with and that one and later that there is massive literature of Ismailis that they occasionally point about Nowruz. Likewise, as I mentioned about the Buyids and later about Safavids, when they came to power, they were celebrating Nowruz and as their gift from their imams. So uh, in a case they legitimize Nowruz and it's becoming a kind of religious festival among them. If we consider about the in wider Muslim context, of course, other Muslims they also celebrate Nowruz, as I mentioned that Seljuks and Samanids and also Ghaznavids they were celebrating, but it doesn't mean they were celebrating these as a kind of religious festival. But this was celebrated mainly as a kind of legitimizing themselves. For example, Farrokhi Sistani, who is one of the court poet of Ghaznavid, he says that از این فرخنده از این فرخنده فروردین جشن نوروزی نصیب خسروی عادل سعادت باد و پیروزی. So he means that in a way he is wishing good things for prosperity for the king, for the Ghaznavid king, and he is using the phrase which is also attributed to Imam Ali that he said that may your day be Nowruz and your day may be prosperous. And it's quite common among the Persian speakers, particularly they say that Har roz itan Nowruz, Nowruz itan Behruz, which more or less convey the same meaning that the Imam Ali was pointing out. So today, Nowruz is not only celebrated among Shia Muslims. Of course, Shia Muslims they celebrate as a kind of religious festival, but it is also celebrated among other Muslims, particularly in Central Asia, including Afghanistan, who are not mainly Shia, but they are Sunnis. Uh, I mean that they are Turks, and but they celebrate Nowruz, and it's quite common. If we consider in a wider world context, it means that as they migrated to different countries, still it's quite common that those immigrants they celebrate Nowruz there with their kind of different tradition. The other point which is quite important is that as before Islam, it was quite common among Zoroastrians that they left their holy scripture or a Havista on the table or tablecloth. While there was Hafsin, it means that it starts the seven fruits, which starts with seal or is with Persian words and they are single. So this was quite common that they were putting their own religious book, but Muslims they put their own religious books or Quran, and similarly this was applied to other religions. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you start a very new year and have be happy throughout the year and be prosperous, and may you achieve all your goals, all your ambitions, and may your all dreams become reality. هر روزتان نوروز نوروزتان بهروز. Please do like, share and comment this video.